Yes. Welcome to another episode dedicated to hope, inspiration, and giving back to your community. We'd like to thank our producer this evening, as there was a break-in the last 3 weeks, so all our equipment had to be repurchased. So if anyone would like to help Mr. Dominic out with that, we thank you, but everything had to be reformatted, so we're off again, though. Here we are. In the studio, we have Kelly Fox from Ameriprise Financial. And thank you so much for joining us, Kelly.
Thanks so much for having me, Carrie. It's great to be here tonight.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for all your words of wisdom during our break while we were waiting to come on. So I wanted to talk about your involvement with Christmases for Kids.
Okay.
And I wanted to first start with, where did this come from? How long? I feel like you've been running this program forever.
I have been the head elf, as they call me, for quite a few years. But I started off as a volunteer. This will be my 24th Christmas.
Wow.
But I stepped up as the chairperson of the organization in 2006. So this will be my 11th year actually kind of running the show. But before even volunteering, my husband and I donated. So this is the 33rd Christmas of Christmases for Kids. Mm-hmm. So we started out a few years after it actually began. We wanted to help out in the community a little bit. We started donating. We had a little person at home and just wanted to start to find out what was happening, that we could give back a little bit, because my husband and I at that point both traveled a lot for work. Essentially, North Attleboro was just home base, but we didn't really get to know the community that much. And then I decided to take a year sabbatical from work and got more involved in the community. And the next thing you know, here we are 24 years later, still having a ball. Our closest friends are the people that we volunteer with. We just love it.
How many volunteers do you have?
There's 150 people that walk through the doors over about a 3-week period to make the magic happen, and it is truly magic. We'll take care of 1,000 children this year in 6 communities with new toys and new clothes.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
So what I find really amazing is that your organization services so many children, and children who would otherwise not have a Christmas.
Right.
But tell us about some of the reasons that some of these children might end up on Santa's good list.
Well, I think when you think about the 1,000 kids and you break that out, there's nearly 100 of them that came to us through New Hope's Battered Women's Shelter Rape Crisis Center. Mm-hmm. I think that number all by itself is kind of stunning, but there's about 250 through Department of Children and Families. A lot of those children are in foster care. There are group homes locally for teenagers, and some of them are young moms and their babies. Some are just a group home for just teen boys. There's 100 children that are homeless in our community. So when you start to add all that up, it's a little more than half of all the kids that we will provide gifts for are really in such incredibly awful positions. It's not their fault,
right?
You know. And quite honestly, it's not their parents' fault either. Mm-hmm. It's just, we said before, in a lot of cases, it's there but for the grace of God. We had last year, when we talk about the parents that come to us that ask for help, last year we had a mom and dad that came to us with 4 children. And up until last year, mom and dad were both working, doing everything they need to do, taking care of their children, until one of the kids got sick. Mm. Cancer. What do you do when you have a 10-year-old with cancer? So mom had the health insurance. They made a tough decision. Dad quit his job so he could drive that little girl back and forth to Dana-Farber. And at that point, they needed some help. They needed gas money, food money.
Right.
You know, that whatever she's making is really to keep things going in the household, and suddenly, you know, their income is cut in half, essentially. So that's when parents would come to us if we could help them with gifts for their children. It takes pressure off. It allows them to not have to make those awful decisions like, well, do I buy Christmas gifts and maybe go into debt? Or do I pay
Pocket
for...
Dana-Farber.
Yeah, do I pocket
Right.
Dana-Farber? Do we put oil in the tank? Do we buy groceries? What do we do? And so we can take that off of their plate. There's an awful lot of single moms, and I know that they get vilified quite often, those awful single moms. But you know what? There's a dad out there somewhere that it may not be pulling their weight to help pay for those children. So again, what is mom doing if she's by herself? Maybe she can't work full time because she needs daycare. She needs somebody to pick up or drop off. So she might be cobbling together a couple of more part-time jobs so that she can manage, maybe
Right.
family members helping to take care of the child or children. But the parents who apply to us, by definition, are living on less than 133% of poverty. It's not a lot of money. So when the families are vetted carefully, we see a rent receipt or a mortgage statement, we see utility bills, we see a lot of information about them.
I think that's really important. And I just wanted to, I'm sorry
Sure.
to interrupt
No,
you,
go
but I
ahead.
think that's really important because when people are looking to give to organizations or communities or events or what have you, you really want to make sure that people are vetted properly.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you have a really good system in place to make sure that it's going where it's supposed to go.
It's tight, and it's tight from the beginning to end. So first off, we're all volunteers. Absolutely nobody gets paid for anything. And
Even the head elf?
Even the head elf, nothing. Just lots of hugs. That's it.
That's it. That's all you
good.
need.
We're happy.
Yeah.
So when money comes into the program, 100% of every donation goes to take care of the children. So we do a separate fundraiser through the year that allows us to pay for things like paper, the phones, any kind of administrative stuff. So every dime that goes to Christmases for Kids only goes to gifts. That's it. And we're adamant about that. So in terms of vetting the families, we see what comes in, what goes out. We work with them with budgeting at several points along the way. We want to be sure that they understand how to best manage their money. And I'll tell you, in some of the cases, they could teach classes on couponing and the extra care bucks or whatever they might get to make their money stretch. They really work hard at it. There's not a lot of waste. Certainly, they may be getting, for little ones, they might be on WIC, they might be on food stamps, but that's not a lot of money. They don't get much for that. So they really try to make their dollars stretch, and we try to make sure that they understand as many resources that might be available in the community as possible. So what we've been able to pull in social workers who know the system really well, who can help us focus the families into resources. We have people with all different backgrounds that are able to bring their expertise to the table and say, here's some other ways that parents might be able to access either additional help or just make their money work a little bit better. So we vet them carefully. Parents, the first year that they're in our program, they just need to get through the application process. Parents who come back in year 2 and on, in order to be able to continue to stay with us, they have to do some work on their own. So that may mean that they take some classes on finance or parenting skills or any number of things, healthy eating. We've had a pediatrician, a pediatric dentist come in, all kinds of people that would give them really good new kind of information that they can use to hopefully make their family work better.
So it's kind of like self-help resources.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And some of them are in-person classes. We'll be at BCC and we could have 20, 30 people come in and have someone on an area that we thought would be a good bit of information for them. The last class we did, actually, we were talking before about cybersecurity, and we had the head of BCC's.
I should have went to that one.
BCC's technical information come in and talk to the parents about keeping themselves and their kids safe on the internet. Just such an important topic. But they can also do classes online through the libraries. But the other thing, too, is that so many of them want to give back. And so we made the decision a few years ago that if they do 20 hours of volunteering, that we would take that as their requirement, as opposed to doing 8 hours in classroom time.
I think that's even better.
They love it. They volunteer all over the community. They're parents, the recipients are the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, their churches, the school department. They volunteer all over the place. Soup kitchens, food pantries. And they do many, many more than 20 hours over the course of the year.
Because once they're hooked, they're hooked.
They're hooked, yeah. Boy, do I know that feeling. But it's good because they know that the gifts that their children are receiving are from the community. Mm-hmm. Because Christmases for Kids is simply the conduit between the generosity of our community to the children who are in need. We're just the middleman. We make sure that those toys and clothes go where they belong.
Well, you're much more than the middleman. 150 strong and growing.
Yes.
with extra. So how many extra volunteers do you think you are setting out in the community?
Well, I think that our volunteers become such great advocates of the program.
I'm sure.
So every year we get more people that want to come in, and sometimes people need to step away for a year or two for whatever, because life gets in the way, right?
Right.
So they may come in for a few years and they're all ready to help out, and then there's a little bump in their own road. So they step away for a year and then they come back. So and kids will come in, they'll do their community service, and then they leave for college. So we love getting our new elves in, and we had elf training actually on Saturday. And
what are the requirements to be an elf?
You have to be 13 or older.
Ooh, that's it.
Yeah. And if you're a teenager, see, we're just slightly past our teenage years.
Yes, just a couple days.
But teenagers, until they can drive, have to have a parent with them. But once they're old enough to drive, then they're welcome to come in. And I'll tell you, the teens are fabulous, because when we get that story sheet that tells us what a child wants for clothes, what they want for toys, what their favorite store might be, oftentimes, because I'm so past that, even my son is 29. He's past, the ages of the children that we would be helping from birth to age 18. That it's great to have the teens in there, because I can say, can you translate this for me?
Right.
What's this child actually want, and what can we get that would round out the bag that will really make this wonderful, a great Christmas for this little boy or this little girl? And so we love having the teens there. But all of them have to be quarried. Every volunteer has to fill out an application, and they're re-quarried every 3 years. So there is, in all seriousness, we want to be careful about who has access to children's information.
Right.
So that's why that criminal background check is so important.
Yeah, it is. But I think that having young teens with the energy level, and like you said, even for just translation services at that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you don't know what the latest and greatest toy is,
right? But they
for that
know.
season. Of course they know.
They know.
Of course they know.
They love. I think they really love knowing that they're really important to us. That we value their opinion. We ask for their opinion, and every year we ask for all the new elves to tell us, well, you've been through our processes, which we think we've tweaked year over year, but tell us, fresh set of eyes, what would you do differently?
That's great. That's great to have young people there to sort of pass the reins to eventually, right?
Absolutely.
I would think.
Yeah. And does what we do make sense
Does
to
the
you?
elves go into retirement or what?
Oh, someday.
I don't mean the head elf. I mean, do the other elves go into retirement? Some of them.
Occasionally, but I would say most of the people who are in kind of the leadership team, we all work full time.
Right.
And then we're there 5 nights a week and all day Saturday for weeks.
So when does this start? So tell us about, I know it started.
It's already started.
It's in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
to get you in the studio, like literally this evening, is
Yeah, it's good though. I
is
mean, I
good.
love talking about what we do. So what's happened so far is that we've received so far about 750 story sheets. So that means we have 750 kids already on the list that we're actively starting to buy for and match up with donors. So what we type a lot of that stuff up. We get it over to the Sun Chronicle. The Sun Chronicle on Sunday, this coming Sunday, will publish it. And from 12 to 2 this coming Sunday, which I believe is the 20th, our phones will be open. And people can call in and we can match up donors to children. And at that point, someone might call and say, oh, I'd really, I've got 2 grandchildren, a little boy and a little girl, and they're 3 and 5. I want to be matched up to children the same age and gender as my grandchildren. So we fly through all the story sheets and
750 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking. I'll make sure I'm following the story.
We get
here.
through as many as are left, because every time a child is matched, we take that story sheet out. So we've got probably
Yep.
300 left right now, and I know that we've got more coming. So we've got about 300 story sheets right now that we could match up to donors. So we'll fly through those and we'll match up the donor, and the donor will go buy whatever it is that we need. They'll bring it back over to the drop-off center, which is in Attleboro, the old Attleboro High School. And then at that point, the elves take over and they will physically do an inventory of everything that comes in for that child.
Wow.
So if the child asks for a dollhouse and she's a size 3T and she needs a snowsuit and her favorite color is pink, I want a dollhouse, I want a size 3T snowsuit.
It's going to be pink.
Snowsuit, pink,
So
in that bag.
Head elves have a right to be confused a little bit right now. You're not confused on the list, so that's fine. Yeah.
So we want to be sure that what that little girl wants is in that bag. The other piece that's interesting too, though, is that we also know if there's special needs. So if we have a child who is autistic, if we have a child who is developmentally delayed, if we have a child who has other challenges that it's important for us to know. For example, last year, the very last gift that we were able to find was Wheelchair Barbie.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
that's what that little girl wanted. So we want to be able to match that up. I can only assume why she wanted Wheelchair Barbie. That was important.
Right.
So we've had other children who we've known have been in wheelchairs or have other phobias, or just kids have funny things.
Right.
They don't like something on their socks, or one little girl who didn't want anything that pulled over her head. Some kids don't like Velcro. So we find out that level of detail about some children. Parents will tell us, so that we make sure that what goes in the bag is exactly what will be best for that little person.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
So take me through sort of the steps, if you will.
Sure.
So let's say I'm a family and I want to apply to Christmas is for Kids.
Okay.
I don't know, something's happened. When do I start applying, Kelly?
The parents actually started applying the first week of October.
Really?
Yes. Yep. And the returning parents know that we wanted their applications by last week. New parents, we'll take those applications as long as we have capacity to take more children.
Right.
So that could be.
But you would prefer to get them sooner because it gives you more time to vet it, to match it up,
Yep.
to find what nuances would work for the child or not. So I'm assuming
Yep.
October, if you had the ideal magic wand, which I know you do, but as far as convenience.
Yep, I'd have them all in before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Because then I have to get them out to donors, and the donors have to have time to shop, and they have to get them back to us, and we have to have time to go through the bag and anything that might be missing, because we try to spend about $150 per child. And so we are really good shoppers. And for example, we had some money left over that came in after the program ended last year. So in January, one of the other board members and I went to Children's Place at Emerald Square Mall.
Of course you did.
And we bought every winter coat they had because they were all under $10.
Right. So you can make the money go far as well.
Very stretched, yeah, very, very far. We really stretch the money as much as we can. So this year, when we started going through the story sheets and we were looking, first thing we did is we looked for how many
Winter
kids need
coats.
coats. Okay, start matching up. We have all this inventory of coats. We've got all these kids that need coats. Start matching them up. Do that now. Before you even ask a donor to go buy anything, we know I've got these coats on the shelf. Let's do that first.
So your program will accept donations all year round.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Because some people just think, well, it's the holidays, so I give at the holidays, but realistically, that about the coats, the best time to give is after if there is such a thing, but after the program has already been fulfilled, you'll make
Yeah.
use of that in a
Absolutely.
really good way.
The other thing too is that some of the town nurses locally may call me end of December, December 20th or in January, because they all know that we'll go out and we'll buy coats. So I may get a phone call from someone saying a family just moved to town, or there was a fire, or there was a
Fire,
death,
that's a
or
big
there was
one.
a something, and we're trying to do this for the family. What can you do to help? No problem. They come on into our inventory, unlock that door, we pull out whatever we can. I would much, much rather have that winter coat on a little person in January than have it wait through the
Oh,
summer and give
absolutely.
it to somebody next Christmas.
Absolutely. So what can the community do? What can the community do?
Call us starting next Sunday.
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 12 o'clock.
12 to 2. The phones will be open.
What's the phone number?
It's 508
Yep.
222-0911.
09.
11.
11.
911. Help.
Oh, 911, right.
Yep, 0911. So call. We can match someone. We can match a donor up to children, and then go shop and get what they
Now,
need.
what if someone were disabled or elderly and wanted to make a donation, but I'm not really going to get out and shop? Can I do
fine.
that?
Sure. You can go onto our website, councilforchildren.org, and you can donate through the website there's a Network for Good icon, and you can donate through your credit card and put money right into Christmases for Kids. So a lot of people do that. That's wonderful. If you live locally and you want to drop off cash or a check, Rockland Trust in Attleboro on Pleasant Street has an account set up for us, and they will take donations.
So you can just go into the bank and say, I want to make a deposit to Christmases for
Yep,
Kids.
absolutely.
Okay.
So they're happy to do that. If you're with a company or organization and like to do a drive, we would love to have more books.
Books.
Books are great. We actually have a great partnership now with An Unlikely Story. They've been wonderful. So we've got ornaments on a little tree there, specifically for book titles that children have requested. So you can go and buy a book at the bookstore, and they'll hold it for us, and then we can make sure that child gets the book that they asked for.
So there's so many different ways.
Sure.
And I know we have about 15 minutes left, and I feel like we could do 2 days on this. What would you say if someone said, well, I want my dollar to go the furthest? What are you most in need of?
Socks.
Socks. Really?
Yeah. That's the first thing I think of. When you think of little kids, they go
Socks.
through socks like crazy.
Well, the washing machine eats them.
Yeah, well, that's
Let's be
true.
honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And that never seems to go away, the sock-eating washing machine.
Yeah. We could use socks. We could use blankets.
Okay.
When you think about how the parents are trying to economize their stretching, one of the ways that oftentimes they will try to stretch their dollars is by turning the heat back, because oil's expensive. Maybe
Right.
not as expensive as it was 3 years ago, but you have to stay on top of it.
Right.
If it's electric heat, it's expensive.
Right.
You got to do it. It's a have to have, not a nice to have. So they turn the heat back. So the kids need to stay warm. So socks, blankets, warm pajamas.
Love warm pajamas. Like feety pajamas.
Pajamas.
Feety pajamas.
And
They're
for
the
all
best.
ages. And keep in mind, too, that, the little ones, the 3, 4, 5-year-olds, they might not understand yet what's going on. The teenagers, they know that there's a problem in the household. They know that somebody lost a job, somebody's sick. They know that money's tight. So we really try to make sure that the teens also are well taken care of. We'll get them gift cards to their favorite store. I will tell you, oftentimes people will say, why would you get a Hollister gift card? Those kids, they should be stretching their money at Walmart or Target or wherever. But those kids are in high school, just like all their friends.
That's right.
And if they want to be able to, if they want to take that gift card and buy one outfit so that they feel like they're like their friends, then do that.
That's right.
I have a great story for you about that. Would you like to hear a story?
I would.
Okay.
I love stories.
Okay. So a few years ago, we had a mom that came to us. She had several children. They'd been in the program for a few years. Mom was sick and constantly in and out of the hospital. And so we were very glad to help them because this was a family, actually, it was the family that inspired us to have other people do volunteer work as opposed to go to classes, because the dad was working but volunteering because to him, he knew that we were helping him and he's the one who wanted to give back. So we were like, oh my goodness, what a great idea.
So the dad come up with the story.
So the dad came up with the idea to do the volunteering. So meanwhile, though, the mom came to us at one point in December and said that her son was about to turn 16. And one of the things that she had asked for the son was pants. But would it be possible for her to just get the pants before Christmas so she could give them to her son for his birthday instead of waiting another couple of weeks? And we said, sure. I said, I'm happy to do that.
So his birthday, just for clarification.
Birthday was early December.
Okay. Yep.
Birthday is early December. He's going to turn 16. So I said, happy to do this.
He's going to some sort of
No, you'd think.
job interview. Nope.
At 16, kids can drop out of school.
Ugh.
So he was getting teased at school because he only had one pair of pants.
Ugh.
So he was going to drop out. So we're like, sure, we'll get you 3 pair of pants.
Right.
What do you need?
right. How many you need?
What do you need? So we gave her the pants for the boy. And it's great because, like I said, we've got to know the family over the years, and so we could sort of watch this. So, of course, he turned 16. He's got new pants. The teasing stops. He doesn't drop out of school. Excellent. He graduates from high school. He goes on to college. And that little boy is a teacher today.
That's awesome.
And I think about what could have happened if he dropped out of school. So how many kids would he not be inspiring today
Right.
if it weren't for 3 pair of pants?
Right.
So when I think about the impact that this program has had on that family and all of the kids that one child has then grown up to influence, and I know how many others have come back to volunteer. Every year we get at least one older adult that shows up with her donations, and she's got her adult children in tow, and she stops and she says, do you remember the year that Dad lost his job? Somebody was sick, whatever, but you still had Christmas gifts? This is why. And that's why we're here this year, to give back and to donate and to help out, because they helped us and they pay it forward. And it happens every year. So the people that we're helping, they're good and they need it, and they do come back and they volunteer and they donate themselves, or they're just amazing advocates for the program and can say good things. And it just makes us feel like we're doing a really good thing here for the
I'm
community.
getting a sign that we're going to go to a commercial here.
Okay.
So we'll be right back, and we'd like to hear more.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Quintel, host of The Q, a show dedicated to hope, inspiration, and giving back to the community. Please tune in live Monday evenings at 7 p.m. You can also watch us on a V-stream at 4dsportstalk.com. We have shows dedicated to hunger, yoga adventures, homeopathy, pain relief, and much, much more. We hope to see you Mondays at 7 p.m. Thank you. Welcome back. In the studio tonight, we have Kelly Fox. We had a little bit of programming issues, but apparently we seem to have straightened it out, so that was great. And we're talking to Kelly Fox, the head elf of Christmases for Kids, also known as Ameriprise Financial during the day. So, how did this program get started?
That's such a great question. And it's actually one of my most favorite stories to tell, because Dave Kane, who was a local radio personality for many years, it was actually his idea 33 years ago.
Dave Kane.
Dave Kane.
Dave Kane.
Yep. Dave does a radio show in Attleboro, WACS, on Saturday mornings. But before that, he was very involved, and I believe it was Radio 1030, 33 years ago. And so...
Was this the same Dave Kane that lost his son?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Actually, the Nikki O Foundation is another part of the Council for Children, because the Council for Children is the overarching organization. Christmases for Kids is a program. The Nikki O Foundation is a program. Daycare Scholarships is a program. And then we have a we have a backpack program that we do.
Phew.
So I know. So Dave tells the story that when he was a little boy, he and his brother didn't really get very much for Christmas. His mom was a single mom, and she worked for Hasbro. And they still wouldn't have very much. So he always felt that things must be really bad if your mom works for a toy company and you still don't get great gifts at Christmas. Right. And he always wished that someday someone would show up at his door and say, Mrs. Kane, we're here to help you, and we're going to pay your bills, or we're going to do something to just make life a little bit easier for you. But of course, that never happened.
Right.
But as an adult, he really wanted to do something that would impact those children who really have no control over the fact that they're not going to get much of anything for Christmas. So his idea was to get a bunch of people together, mostly social workers back then, and say, what if we got on the radio and started to tell stories about the kids, and maybe ask some people to donate. Maybe it's Barbie dolls, maybe it's trucks, maybe it's trains, maybe it's a science kit, maybe it's a pair of mittens or a red wagon or who knows what. But what if we could get some people to do that? And most of them thought he was crazy. But
as we know, he's not.
He was crazy.
He's not. He has a heart of gold. Yep.
And so it started out with a few kids and just a small group of volunteers. So by the time my husband and I started volunteering in 1993, there was maybe 12 or 15 people that accepted the donations and pulled it together. And there wasn't really any shopping. There was some basic ideas of what the kids wanted, but it wasn't necessarily as... it wasn't as process-oriented as it is today.
That's what makes it so successful.
So now we've made it very scalable so that we were able to take on the 6th town this year. We took on Plainville. And so it went from a great idea based on a little boy's hurt feelings, watching his mom struggle, to helping. Now it's been thousands and thousands of children that have been helped over 33 years. Wow. And from a handful of volunteers going, all right, Dave, we'll give it a shot, to right. 150 that show up every year, but many hundred that have been quarried over the years that are now, like I said, out advocating and helping spread the good word.
So let's talk about the towns that you do. I mean, I know we're getting short on time here, but I think this is important. You said you service 6 towns.
Correct.
Which 6 towns?
Attleboro and North Attleboro, Seekonk and Rehoboth, Norton, and now Plainville this year.
So would you like to see this program grow?
Well, yes, if we can.
You could have multiple head elves. assist.
We do have an amazing leadership team that,
Yep.
going from about 12 people to 150, but I think of that, we've got a good core group of probably 12 or 15 people now that are the leadership
Right.
group, and then everybody else is that, they get the work done.
That's what elves.
They're the good elves, absolutely. The only reason I hesitate in having it grow more.
Yeah, I'm
is
wondering.
space.
Okay.
Space. Right now, we're over at the old Attleboro High School. And so we use the old library. So anybody who went to Brennan or BCC there or whatever, or maybe graduated from the high school there, knows that the building is somewhat limited in terms of space. So you have to picture 1,000 big black trash bags lined up. So we take classroom after classroom after classroom, and they're filled. And we have really run out of space there. So if we had more space, I would love to see it grow. I'm afraid of taking on more than, I don't want to make a promise I can't fulfill.
Right.
In terms of scaling it and what can we manage, we could absolutely scale it. It's floor space.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know
filled
what
that.
your hesitation was there for a second, and I'm thinking, huh?
Yeah.
She got this great program. She's head elf. She runs all these towns. She gets all these gifts. It must be so satisfying.
Oh my God.
At the end of the day. So let's talk about. We got a couple minutes left, but let's talk about how does this thing finish up?
Okay, so we've gone through all the
quarry, the
everything. Then we
application.
get the people, and we get the stuff, and then everything that's inventoried and goes into the bags and into the rooms and lined up and ready to go. And then we start inviting the social workers to come back in and pick things up. So the folks from Justice Resource Institute, the folks from New Hope, the folks from Department of Children and Families, they come and they take the bags back out that are finished and done and ready to go for the kids. And then on one day we have all the parents come in and we go through everything with them. We schedule about 6 parents every 15 minutes, and we go about 8 hours. We stop about an hour for lunch, and we bring them in. We talk to them one-on-one. We look at their budget. We give them additional resources. We try to give them whatever other support we can, and at that point, we walk them out to their car, and off they go. But for donors, the last day we're looking to get donors in would be December 7th. That gives us a couple more days to be able to get the last of those donations matched up. And the parents leave on the 13th, and the lights go out.
So the best number to reach you at is the 508-222-0911.
Starting on Sunday. It'll be
Starting on Sunday.
Starting on Sunday. Yep, 12
Okay,
o'clock on
before
Sunday.
then, you'd advise the website.
Yes, Kelly at counselforchildren.org is
Okay.
the email address, and I'm on it every
Are
day.
you looking for any more elves this year?
We're good for volunteers.
Good.
We're good for volunteers, but we definitely need donors because we have several hundred children still to match up.
Well, Kelly, I wish you the best, and I
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for coming
Oh,
on.
this was great. Thank
I think
you.
it was perfect timing. I know that we got a little caught up there with some scheduling issues, but I'm so glad that we were
this
able
is
to do this.
perfect. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to leave this evening with a quote from Dale Evans, and the quote is as follows: "Christmas, my child, is love in action. Every time we love, every time we give, it's Christmas." And I just think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Thank
so
you.
thank you.
Perfect.